Everyone is talking about the Book of Enoch, which is a Jewish text written about 200 years before Christianity and Jesus came. But intentionally, everything is not being revealed about its content. It has some forbidden knowledge that the religious authorities in the West do not want everyone to know. You might think that's because it teaches humans deformed knowledge about magic and unethical malpractices, including sexual relationships between humans and angels. Well, that's part of the reason, but not the main one, why the Book of Enoch has been banned. It turns out that this book reveals about Jesus hundreds of years before he came, and also about his appearance and ethnicity. And that's what the Western churches and religious authorities do not want you to know. Yet, it does not end here. So, what more does the Book of Enoch reveal about Black Jesus and the Black Messiah? Welcome to a new episode of Black Afric Diary, a channel where we talk about Black African history, culture, arts, and civilization. It's a place where you will see the real picture of Black Africa, its stories, and the events defining it. In this episode, we will tell you what the Book of Enoch reveals about Black Jesus and Black Messiah, which changes everything you know about Christianity. Let's get started. The Book of Enoch was written by the biblical figure Enoch, great-grandfather of Noah, and offers a rich and complex depiction of the supernatural worlds never seen in the Bible. It talks about various subjects, and after reading it, one can feel the reason why it's banned. That's because it has knowledge which is hard to believe, especially due to its unconventional nature and accounts quite different from what's in the Bible. First, it talks about the fall of the Watchers, who were angels who rebelled against God and descended to earth. The Watchers, according to the text, took human wives and bore Nephilim, who were giants, contributing to the corruption of humanity. This story is in Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 to 4, which briefly describes the sons of God marrying human women. The Book of Enoch, however, goes into greater detail about these beings and their punishments. The book also talks about the visions of the end times, where the righteous are rewarded and the wicked face judgment. These apocalyptic prophecies and Enoch's travels through heavenly kingdoms inspired later Jewish apocalyptic literature and early Christian theology, providing early conceptions of heaven, hell, and divine retribution. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Book of Enoch is its portrayal of the Son of Man, a mysterious messianic figure who plays a central role in divine judgment. Enoch describes this figure as being pre-existent, sitting at the right hand of God, and bringing about the final victory over evil. However, the description of the Son of Man has led to controversial interpretations, especially in modern discussions. Some believe that the descriptions of the Son of Man, often linked to the Messiah, are portrayed with physical traits like black hair and darker skin, features commonly associated with African and Middle Eastern peoples. This challenges the long-established Western image of Jesus as a white, European figure. In traditional Western art, Jesus is often depicted with light skin, straight hair, and European facial features. However, considering Jesus' historical and geographical background, it is much more likely that he had darker skin and hair, reflecting the population of the Middle East from 2,000 years ago. For example, Isaiah chapter 53, verse 2, mentions that the Messiah had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, which some interpret as suggesting that Jesus did not conform to the later European standards of beauty seen in Western art. However, to this day, Jesus is depicted as a handsome man with blonde hair, blue eyes, and fair skin, which is in contradiction. Therefore, the portrayal of the Son of Man in the Book of Enoch aligns with the idea of a messianic figure who brings both judgment and redemption. And the description of this figure is said to be black or wool-like hair, hinting at African heritage. These features are similar to other biblical descriptions of divine figures that suggest non-European characteristics. For instance, in Daniel chapter 7, verse 9, the Ancient of Days, which is a title for God, is described as having hair like pure wool, often interpreted as a symbol of wisdom, but truly showing the African hair textures. Additionally, Revelation chapter 1, verse 14 and 15, describe Christ with hair like wool and feet that glow like bronze in a furnace, which has further fueled interpretations that Jesus may have had darker, non-European traits. Looking at the historical and geographical context of Jesus' life, it is likely that he had darker skin and hair, similar to the people in the ancient Near East. Born in Bethlehem and living in what is now modern-day Israel and Palestine, Jesus would have likely resembled the Middle Eastern populations of his time. However, as Christianity spread into Europe, particularly through the Roman Empire and later European colonial powers, the image of Jesus gradually shifted to fit European cultural norms. In the early centuries of Christianity, European artists and theologians began to reimagine Jesus with fair skin, light hair, and European features. They did not want to pray to Jesus who was not like them, who was black. Therefore, they changed Jesus' features, making paintings and spreading them all around the world. These depictions became deeply ingrained in Western Christian culture, often overshadowing the historical realities of Jesus' ethnicity. And one thing should be noted here. The Book of Enoch dates back to roughly 300 BCE and was widely read in Jewish communities before the rise of Christianity. It had predicted about Jesus already, and people identified Jesus based on the descriptions given in the Book of Enoch. However, as the white Europeans changed Jesus' appearance, they had to ensure they hid the Book of Enoch. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black Africa. Let's continue now. The Book of Enoch's influence is evident in early Jewish apocalyptic literature and early Christian thought. Some church fathers, including Tertullian, acknowledged its importance, and it is even quoted in the New Testament in Jude chapter 1, verse 14 and 15, which mentions a prophecy attributed to Enoch. It said, "Enoch, the seventh from Adam, prophesied about them, 'See, the Lord is coming with thousands upon thousands of his holy ones to judge everyone, and to convict all of them of all the ungodly acts they have committed.'" This reference in Jude shows the book's early acceptance and influence within the Christian tradition. However, despite its early influence, the Book of Enoch was eventually excluded from the biblical canon in both Judaism and Christianity, with the exception of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, which continues to regard it as canonical. The reasons for its exclusion are debated, but its angelology, detailed stories of the Watchers, and its apocalyptic tone likely raised concerns. Some religious leaders may have feared that its vivid depictions of fallen angels and the Nephilim could lead to misunderstanding or excessive speculation about supernatural beings, thus distracting from more core teachings. However, it's obvious that when something is banned, something is being hidden. And the biggest cover-up is about Jesus' ethnicity. Today, it can be known by knowing the ethnicities of the people around Jesus and other biblical figures. And it turns out that the regions traditionally associated with Adam, Noah, and Jesus, which are ancient Mesopotamia and the Levant, were inhabited by darker-skinned peoples, as evidenced by the geography and history of those areas. Today, it's an open secret that ancient Mesopotamia had black roots. Furthermore, according to the Bible, Adam was created from the dust of the earth, and his story is often associated with ancient Mesopotamia, which is regarded as the cradle of civilization. This region, covering parts of modern-day Iraq, Syria, and Turkey, is located between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. It was home to early civilizations like the Sumerians, Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians, who are widely believed to have had darker skin tones, much like the populations of the Middle East and North Africa today. Even the idea that Adam and the people of Mesopotamia were darker-skinned is supported by historical and environmental factors. The hot, arid climate of Mesopotamia would have favored the evolution of darker skin as a protective measure against intense sunlight. Ancient art and archaeological evidence from the region often depict people with darker complexions, further reinforcing the belief that Adam and his descendants would not have had light skin. As for Jesus, he was born in Bethlehem, located in the Levant, which is modern-day Israel and Palestine. At that time, the ethnicity and appearance of the people living there were quite different from what it is today. This region has historically been a crossroads of Africa, Asia, and Europe, making it home to a diverse range of people. However, during Jesus' time, it was predominantly inhabited by Semitic peoples, including Canaanites, Hebrews, and other groups, who were generally people of color. Historical records and archaeological findings suggest that the people of ancient Israel were darker-skinned, more closely resembling modern-day Bedouins or other Middle Eastern populations. As a Jewish man living in the 1st century Middle East, Jesus would not have had the pale European appearance often depicted in Western art. Instead, he likely had olive-toned or darker skin, reflecting the common features of people in that region. Therefore, the description of the Son of Man as having African characteristics as given in the Book of Enoch becomes strong here. This suggests that Jesus' message of love, redemption, and justice transcends cultural and racial boundaries, challenging traditional Western depictions of the Messiah as a European figure. This interpretation also shows the inclusivity of Jesus' identity, suggesting that his role as the savior of humanity speaks to all races and cultures. However, at this point, the white Europeans found it hard to accept that they should follow Jesus, who was black. It goes against their perceived pride of being European. That's why many European scholars, after finding no strong argument, say that the descriptions in the text should not be understood as literal references to ethnicity. Instead, they say that these descriptions, particularly those of the Son of Man, are often seen as symbolic representations of divine authority, righteousness, and purity. Since the Son of Man is portrayed as a celestial, otherworldly figure, his physical appearance may reflect his divine nature rather than any earthly racial identity. It's also sad that the concept of race, as understood today, did not exist in the same way in the ancient world. Ethnicity in the biblical context was often defined by cultural, tribal, or regional affiliations rather than skin color. The idea of Jesus having African features, therefore, is viewed by some as a modern lens applied to ancient texts. In the ancient Near East, markers of identity focused more on religion, language, and customs than skin tone. But there is irony in this. They claim that race is a modern construct, largely shaped during European colonialism, and that people in the ancient world didn't categorize each other based on skin color in the way we do now. However, despite making this claim, these same scholars and artists have continued to portray Jesus with European features, blonde hair, blue eyes, and pale skin. This image of a white Jesus has been deeply embedded in Western art, culture, and religious practices for centuries, particularly since the Renaissance, when European artists depicted religious figures to look more like themselves. If we accept the argument that race didn't exist during Jesus' time, then it would make sense that any representation of Jesus should be based on the historical and geographical reality of his life. Jesus was a Jewish man born in the Levant, an area that includes modern-day Israel and Palestine. This region was historically inhabited by Semitic people who had darker skin and features common to Middle Eastern and North African populations. Based on this context, it would be far more accurate to depict Jesus as a man with dark skin, dark hair, and Semitic features. Despite this, the image of a white Jesus has persisted and remains the dominant portrayal in churches and religious texts. This raises a critical question. If race didn't matter during Jesus' time, why is he so often shown as white? And why do these European depictions endure while more historically accurate representations remain rare? Well, the portrayal of Jesus as a white man served significant cultural and political purposes in Europe. By making Jesus look European, artists and religious leaders reinforced the idea that Christianity, and by extension, its central figure, belonged to the European world. This portrayal supported a Eurocentric view, placing European societies at the center of religious and moral authority. It also aligned with colonial ideologies, where European powers sought to assert dominance over other cultures by presenting themselves as divinely favored, using a white Jesus to legitimize their influence. If we truly follow the logic that race didn't exist, then the image of Jesus should reflect the diversity and reality of the time and place in which he lived. Depicting Jesus with dark skin and Middle Eastern features would not only be more accurate, but it would also challenge the long-standing Eurocentric interpretations of religious history. Yet many in Europe and the West seem reluctant to let go of this traditional portrayal because it has become so deeply embedded in Western culture and religious identity. You see, the Book of Enoch offers an extraordinary doorway into a deeper, more mystical understanding of Christianity and its origins. While it is not considered canonical by most mainstream Christian traditions, its content has intrigued scholars and believers alike for centuries. The book goes beyond ethnicity, offering a glimpse into a supernatural worldview filled with angels, fallen beings, and apocalyptic visions, things you should know about. These subjects are often left out of traditional Christian teachings, but are central to understanding early Jewish and Christian thought. Enoch's writings suggest that there is a broader and more complex spiritual reality than is commonly acknowledged. The text's descriptions of divine judgment, cosmic battles, and mysterious events make us realize how little we might actually understand about the early foundations of Christian theology. After knowing this, would you like to read the Book of Enoch yourself and know the prohibited knowledge it has? Isn't it true that being a Christian, you should not allow religious authorities to decide what you should read and what not? In the comment section right below, share your thoughts on the Book of Enoch and whether it should be trusted and used as a text to thoroughly understand Christianity. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We bring videos on Black Africa, its history, rich arts and culture, and things the world should know about. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.